I'm really excited to get stuck into this new routine, start to build on my efficiency with the documentation of this project and implementing it into my daily routine and making it part of my life. Because it was something that I just dived straight into with very little thought. It didn't have the most efficient workflow. It didn't have the most, it wasn't placed within my current routine very efficiently, which allowed it to then become extremely dominant during my day, which I'm happy for it to be because the gym is anyway. I started this project. The gym was always a big part of my day. I could be there for a few hours with considerable ease, as I'm someone that can, from time to time, take a really long time to warm into my workouts. So I'm excited to allow the gym itself to be a priority again, whilst maintaining access, I guess you could say, to my time in the evening, because it was being greatly consumed by this part of it all, the audio and the editing and the uploading. Because I don't have the greatest of Wi-Fi where I'm at the moment. Uploading in the evening is a real pain, because you're kind of paralyzed. I kind of find myself a little bit paralyzed with regards to what I could do. And I'm a big video watcher. When it comes to research, I've always gravitated towards videos, books and audiobooks is where I do the bulk of my research. I've never really been one to scour the internet and find websites and just read random stuff on websites. I'm not too sure why. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about my hierarchy of values, and having the majority of my time consumed by this project really got me thinking, okay, I need to start getting more disciplined and double down and really establish what my hierarchy of values are, because it's something that I've always thought about since my best mate started really studying it and just constantly talking about it. It always made sense to me, from the little anecdotes that I got from him, that if you take a look into your life, an introspective look into you, and and acknowledge what you spontaneously do with very little thought and what seems like very little effort, you do that well enough, then you can probably decipher what your hierarchy of values are, because the things that you focus on and spontaneously decide to be disciplined with, like I said, seemingly very little effort, probably is or aligns with a value in your hierarchy of values. So yeah, this again, I didn't know what this was going to become when I first started it, and that was the beauty of it in many ways. If nothing else, I wanted it to be something to hold myself accountable, because I'd been documenting and logging my training everyday journey since July the 1st, I believe. So we are now on God knows what day. I'm not even too sure. Yeah, I'd been documenting it just on paper for so long now that I felt like, why not do something with that? I think it'd been 128 days, it's been 129 days since I've been training every day. Albeit one of those days, I knew I was going to be so busy that I wouldn't be able to train. So I trained twice in the day before. I decided to document it in an attempt to have a greater reason to hold myself accountable. And if it means potentially inspiring one person to either do something similar or just to better themselves in any way, then that was a win for me. But first and foremost, it was to hold myself accountable and to have something greater than both myself and my Train Every Day program, if you want to call it that, to work towards, or to work on. So yeah, that was the main reason behind this, because when I took a moment when I stepped back to assess myself and figure out what I would like to call a foundational idea and understanding of my own personal hierarchical values, health is at the top of my pyramid. Anybody close to me who knows me knows how in the last, I think me and the missus established the other day that it's only been 3 years, funnily enough, but 3 years is a long time in comparison to most people. It's been 3 years now since I've been uber conscious about what I consume, both mentally and physically. In those 3 years, I've had blips in the road, you could say. They haven't been seamless. No journey like that has. But I can pretty much guarantee that in the last 3 years, I would say 90% of the food that I have consumed has been, how would I put it, to a high standard. I'm very big on grass-fed meat, grass-fed dairy, everything organic. The list goes on. But that consumption also goes for mental consumption as well. I'm somebody who truly believes that our mind is like Pac-Man. You go left, you go right, and Pac-Man will consume all the food in its path whilst avoiding the bad guys, which I kind of see as discomfort and uncomfortable. So if you put easy to consume things in front of you, your mind is just going to eat that shit up and run away from the hard things, like reading a book or watching an educational podcast or so on and so forth. So I haven't actually been on social media for years. It's been at least 3 years. I think going off social media actually came before. It was, I think, actually no, tell a lie, 2019. I think 2019 was the last time I posted, when me and the boys went on holiday on social media. And then since then, I've been non-existent. I have one group chat on Snapchat that I use, and that's literally the only social media app I was using for the last 3 years. And again, from a relationship perspective, I've always been huge on maintaining and pursuing greater levels of health within my relationships across the board, both with my partner, my brother, close friends, parents. That's always been something that I have spontaneously worked towards, just better in my communication line with them. And spiritually, which is something that's far more difficult to quantify. But I've always, in the last year and a half in particular, having moved away from London, where I grew up, where all my friends and family are, it's allowed me to it feels like it's really allowed me to connect with myself spiritually and the people closest to me, and be really conscious and aware of my spiritual health, and which I believe fairly closely ties in with mental health. But anyway, to not make this video too long, I realized then that secondly, in my hierarchy of values, was wealth. Wealth is something that I've always desired to accumulate. I think about it on a daily basis, and to sometimes a small extent and to sometimes a high extent. For the last 5 years, I've taken some sort of action on a daily basis in an attempt to generate wealth. along with making decisions based on, and to me, I see wealth as a multitude of things, right? You have financial wealth, you have wealth of time, you have wealth of mobility, your ability to just move around the world and your country or wherever you want to be freely, and a wealth of knowledge. So wealth is definitely something that I have spontaneously taken action with a lot in the last few years. And then family. I've always been big on family. Family's kind of like, it's third on, I put it third on my list, but on my pyramid, it's my foundation. So whilst I feel like health is the thing that's, funnily enough, tends to be at the forefront of my mind the majority of the day, family lays that foundation. I've always been somebody that the more responsibility I've taken in my relationship, the better my relationship has got. When me and my partner got our first dog, our little pet project, like that, I grew so much as a person because of how difficult it was, because I wanted to raise the dog to a very high standard, which wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at the beginning, and it isn't easy to this day. But again, on a daily basis, it forces me to be responsible, forces me to focus on something bigger than myself, and in turn be a much better man. And obviously, I've been lucky enough to have a very good relationship with both of my parents. Of course, both of those relationships have flaws, as any relationships do, but I have nothing but love in relationships from both my parents. And it's something them specifically, my relationships with them specifically is something that I always desire to improve. I'm always trying to figure out how to better communicate to them. Along with my brother, like my brother's my fucking guy. He's my best friend. Alongside my best friend, funnily enough. My brother's my fucking Cody, man. So improving my relationship with him, like, has always been a piece of piss, really. Like, that's bro, innit? Like, you just do that instinctively, and you always want to better each other, push each other, so on and so forth. And which is, like, family being my foundation is the thing that makes me really excited to have children. Because I know that children will take that to a whole nother level, take my level of responsibility and discipline to a whole nother level, because it has to. Like, you have to improve. You have to be on a constant pursuit of, you have to be dedicated to the constant pursuit of growth. And that is amplified as a man when you have children. I look forward to that day. It may come sooner rather than later. I guess we shall see. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to have a place now in my life, so to speak, as dramatic as that sounds. That's why I was using the term routine. But the reality is to have a clearer place now in my life for this project, rather than have it literally take over my day, or feel at least like it takes over my day. And hopefully allow it to flourish. This has been an interesting one. If you made it this far, thank you very much. And I shall see you tomorrow.